Average Woodsman here, back with another video. So most bug out bags are built for fantasy, not emergency. In this video, I want to show you guys why most bug out bags are built to fail and how exactly to fix them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some of the issues that I see in bug out bags. I'll show you guys how I have mine set up, and just show you guys a couple of issues that I see in a lot of bug out bags and how to fix them. So go ahead and put everything aside for a few minutes, stick around with me, and I'll break everything down. Alright, so this is my bug out bag. It's not heavy, I can lift it easily with one arm. It probably weighs, if I had to guess, around 20 pounds, maybe 22 pounds. I didn't weigh it, but when I get home, I'll annotate the weight in the video if I get a chance, if I remember to. So a lot of the things I see are common problems that I see with bug out bags, especially in videos, articles, things like that, is you see these massive 45, 50, 55 pound bug out bags with a bunch of random gadgets. They'll have 5 or 6 or 7 cutting tools. A lot of times they won't have any type of water plan. They have way too much food. They'll have food that they actually have to physically cook. They just carry way too much gear. And remember, this is not an inch bag. You're not living off the landscape with this. This is specifically geared or built, purpose-built, to get you from point A to point B, whatever that be, like your bug out location. That's what this is supposed to be for. It's supposed to have the items in here to keep you alive in the short term, to get you from wherever you were to wherever you're going. You're not supposed to be carrying this in some sort of a fantasy where you're going to live off the landscape. So that's probably the major thing that I see with a lot of bug out bags is people overfill them. They buy way too large of a bag. And quite frankly, not calling anyone out, not trying to be mean here, but a lot of the people who have these really large bug out bags, they couldn't carry them over distance even if they wanted to. They're not physically fit enough, and these bags are not realistic in size and weight, even to do that if you were in decent physical condition. So just take that into consideration. Try to be realistic, and I'm going to go over some more things, and I'll go over some of the stuff about this bag and why I carry it, and kind of how I have it set up. So let's kind of go like line by line to kind of define each and every problem. So obviously the very first one I already kind of touched on. Basically, a bug out bag is to get you from what to where and for how long. It's not about carrying a bunch of gear that you're going to survive on in some sort of fantasy. When SHTF or whatever you're planning for, when that happens, you don't want to have a really large pack that's going to be cumbersome, that's going to weigh you down. You want to be very mobile. Remember, this is not a wilderness living kit. It's an emergency mobility kit that you can get where you're going as fast as possible, because time is going to be critical in that type of an emergency, depending on what type of emergency it is. All right, when I'm building a bug out bag, there's a couple things a couple of expectations I set for myself. Time. How long do I need to get where I'm going? Terrain. Is it urban? Is it suburban? Is it wilderness? Is there transitional zones? Those types of things. Mobility. On foot. Am I in a vehicle? Maybe I start in a vehicle, but something happened and I had to go on foot. So you need to take all those things into consideration. Also, what type of weather? Where are you at geographically? Are you in the southeast where it's hot most of the years? We do get cold spells, like right now. It's very cold out here. It's like 11 degrees. So this is not normal though for my specific area. My specific area is hot, like 10, 11 months out of the year. Where you may be, maybe you live in a place that's very, very cold most of the year. So remember, time, terrain, mobility, and weather. Take those into consideration when you're building your bug out bag, because you want to be able to have a specific plan and build your bag around that plan. You're not just buying a big gigantic pack and filling it with a bunch of gear that you're never going to use. That's not going to benefit you in a real world scenario. One thing that I also want to touch on really quickly is support. Do you have a specific destination? Does your destination have supplies already there? Does it have people? You need to take all those into consideration too when you're building this kit. All right, so this is the pack. This is the Help People Gear Unlendi. It's roughly around 30 liters. This is the pack that I use for my bug out bag. I always have this ready inside of my house. So just in case I had to grab something, I have a specific place that I would go if I absolutely had to abandon my home, which you never want to do. But if you absolutely had to, something like a natural disaster, or maybe there was so much civil unrest and you live in an urban area or somewhere in the suburbs outside of a major town or outside of a major city, and you have to abandon your home, your base camp, having a good bag to get you where you want to go is important, obviously. So, good belt knife. I have my belt knife with me. Obviously, my wool blanket. I took my wool blanket out of the bottom of this pack specifically because I wanted to use it to lay everything out on. That way, I wasn't laying all my gear in the dirt. So that's why the wool blanket is out. This is also part of my cover element or my cover items in my backpack. So take that into consideration. My belt knife, the items I have on me, so flashlight, my clothing, gloves, my CCW, which I have currently on me, like those types of items I have on my person that would work in conjunction with what's in my pack. So on the outside, I just have a canteen, stainless steel canteen and cup. I can carry water in this, I can boil in this, I can cook in this, all those types of things if I absolutely had to. Remember, I'm doing this, I'm going to be moving quickly, trying to do everything I'm doing and getting from point A to point B. I'm moving quickly on the fly. I'm not trying to cook. I'm not trying to start fires. I'm not trying to do any of that kind of stuff. So this is more of a way to carry water, but I like the multi-functionality of having a metal container along with a cup, a metal cup. That way I have the ability, if I absolutely had to, boil water or cook food in. On this side, I have my Grail. I've talked about the Grail a million times. It's an excellent piece of kit that you should have. I know they're kind of expensive. They even make one now that's made out of titanium, so you could use the Grail itself as a metal container to do all the things that you can do with something like a stainless steel or titanium, water bottle or canteen. But yeah, having my Grail that allows me to disinfect water on the fly quickly while I'm moving. I don't have to stop and boil water. I can just put it in here, compress it. It has that geopress inside here that filters the water through. Now I can do that, dump in my larger canteen. I can disinfect, dump until this is filled, and then I can do it one more time, so I'll have 2 containers of water that I can drink from. That way I don't have to keep stopping. Also, I have duct tape. I mean, duct tape is excellent to have. You always want to have duct tape. I think it's really important. Here on the front, I don't actually have very many pieces of gear here. I just have a spare magazine for my CCW, and then I have 2 heavy metal trash bags, if I can get them out. I have 2 heavy metal trash bags in here. And remember, once again, I want to preface this, I want to keep reiterating this point, is that you're going to be likely on the move. You're going to be moving through parking lots, neighborhoods, roadside areas, small transitional zones from urban to wilderness. You're not going out into the woods to live off the land, deep out in the woods for a month or 2 or 3 or 5 months to live off the land. That's why it's important to have this be lightweight, compact, maneuverable, and you're not carrying a massive 45 or 50 pound backpack with a bunch of gear you're not going to use. So another thing that I have is my Baofeng radio. This allows me to stay in communication with other people and know what's going on. One of the things that people tend to do that they really hinder their bag is they try and build their bag to to feel prepared, but not actually be functional. And if you can't move fast, stay warm, drink water, you're not prepared. So just take that into consideration. Here in the front, I just have a pair of heavy-duty work gloves. And then I have my small hygiene kit that I've showed, countless times in videos. Nothing fancy about it. It's just literally my toothbrush, toothpaste, and some wet wipes. Literally that simple. So here at the top, I have a couple of, I'll show you guys. I have a couple of pouches. I've done a bunch of video on why it's so important to carry these pouches. They're critical that you carry pouches like this because they can be used for a lot of things. This one, I have my shelter items in. I have a charger cord or charger cable for my backup power bank. I have my rapid deploy ridge line, and I also have a bunch of bank line in here, probably 50 to 100 feet of bank line. This one is all just snacks. It's filled with snacks. I have a bunch of meal replacement bars in here that'll allow me to eat on the go. I'm not stopping to cook food. I don't want to have a bunch of just add water meals in here because that requires me to do specific things like make fire, boil water, all those types of things. I don't want that. You could pack a bunch of MREs in here. MREs can be very bulky and heavy. I don't need that. I have more than enough in here with these 4 meal replacement bars, and then I have some other items that I'll show you guys here shortly on top of that. So, binos. Why am I carrying binos? Well, if I'm in a situation where I need to sit back and observe what's going on around me, maybe I see something that I don't particularly like and I don't want to get involved in. This allows me to look from a distance, observe what's going on, and then assess what I want to do from there. Maybe I want to go a different direction. Maybe I want to plan a different route. That's why it's always important to carry a map on you. So having binos is a super underrated item. Right here, another one of these little kits. I have a whistle. I have my lockpick set. And you guys have seen this one plenty of times. I have a bunch more beef jerky. I have a ferro rod, a lip balm, some stormproof matches with some tinder, an additional lighter. I have a lighter on me, my gear repair kit, my Exotac rip spool, and then I have right here a heavy duty bag, a freezer bag with some water purification tablets. That gives me more than enough ways to filter and disinfect water if I have to. Right here, I have just a small first aid kit. You guys have seen this one a million times. It has hemostatic gauze in here. It has all different types of items to affect trauma and bleeding. A couple of chem lights on the outside just in case I need those. Some trauma shears. I have my headlamp. You always want to carry a headlamp. I have a flashlight on me, so I have a flashlight in my pocket and a headlamp in my kit. My nav kit, so this has my compass, my map cards, my Write in the Rain notepads, and then I have a pencil and a Sharpie on the outside. Here, I have just a bunch of additional clothing. So I have additional socks, I have additional shirts in here, just, stuff to facilitate what I'm wearing. It's really important to carry some extra stuff. Plus, I can use this as a pillow. Right here, this is just more stuff for making shelter. Remember, if I make shelter, it's going to be on the fly. I'm going to set up my tarp. I'm going to set up my my blow-up mat so I can lay on the ground quickly, get a few hours of sleep, and then get back on the road. I'm not making elaborate shelters. I'm not building anything off the landscape. I have my stakes, and then I have a small crowbar in here, just in case. I have my small shelter pad, or my sleep pad. I have my Helicon Tex. This is my military poncho that has tie-outs that allows me to use it as a rain cover and as a tarp. Right here, my silky pocket boy. I don't need a big saw. I'm not building elaborate shelters. I'm not processing a bunch of firewood. This is just an emergency item to keep with me just in case. I have my massive backup power bank. The cool thing about this one, not only does it have all the cables attached to it, I like to have the extra cable just in case, but this has all the different attachments, and it works. It can recharge easily because it has that solar aspect. I always keep it fully charged. I have my jungle bag, so between my jungle bag and my wool blanket, I have more than enough warmth. And then just a shamog. Alright guys, so that's the video. Remember, keep your bag as light as possible, as compact as possible, because you want to be mobile. You want to be able to move quickly, as fast as possible, and not get bogged down with a bunch of gear and a really heavy pack that's going to weigh you down and hurt your mobility when you're in an emergency situation where you actually have to bug out. So comment down below what you carry in your bag, what the weight of your pack is, and then what are some of the things that you cut or would cut after watching this video. So remember to like, subscribe, share these videos with your friends and family. Be safe, stay dangerous, and I'll catch you in the next one.